Taehyung in shock. Jungkook finally decides to leave. Why now? Hey ARMY, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't yet, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell because today's story is one you cannot miss. We're diving deep into the shockwaves shaking BTS's universe. Yes, Jungkook, the golden magne himself, has reportedly made a decision that no one saw coming. And trust me, it's not just about the when, it's about the why, and that's where things get intense. Stick around because what we're about to uncover is not just a rumor, it's a seismic shift that could change the course of BTS history forever. The world knows Jungkook as the powerhouse performer, the boy who grew up on stage and captured hearts worldwide. But behind the glittering lights and roaring crowds, there's been an undercurrent of tension, something barely whispered yet impossible to ignore. Today, we peel back the layers of this mystery, diving into the emotional turmoil, the unspoken pressures, and the haunting question that's left Taehyung himself in utter shock. Why now? Why, after years of relentless success and near-mythical camaraderie, does Jungkook finally decide to leave? Let's rewind to the early days. BTS was more than just a band, they were a statement, a seven-piece constellation of raw talent, raw dreams, and raw ambition. Jungkook, the youngest, joined as a boy with something to prove, eyes gleaming with fierce determination. Over the years, he evolved into the golden magne, the heartbeat of BTS, the one who seemed invincible. Yet, beneath that polished exterior, cracks began to form. The pressure cooker that is K-pop stardom is legendary for breaking even the strongest spirits. Intense schedules, unrelenting public scrutiny, and a relentless drive for perfection created an invisible weight on Jungkook's shoulders. And Taehyung? He was always the emotional anchor, the older brother figure who could read Jungkook's silences like an open book. Theirs wasn't just friendship, it was a brotherhood forged in fire. So, when Jungkook's decision came, it hit Taehyung like a storm he never saw coming. Imagine the scene, a late night in the practice room, lights dimmed, the other members long gone. Jungkook sits quietly, voice barely above a whisper, sharing words that seemed impossible to believe. "I think it's time," he said. Time for what? Time to step away. To leave. For Taehyung, it felt like a betrayal, not of Jungkook, but of the dream they built together. How could the boy who had once vowed to stay, to fight through every hardship, suddenly choose to walk away? But the story isn't that simple. There's a deeper context that we need to explore. Over the past year, a series of events unfolded behind the scenes, events that fans only caught glimpses of, but which insiders describe as game changers. There were whispers of contract renegotiations that turned icy, moments where Jungkook's creative vision clashed with the agency's expectations. Reports hinted at personal struggles, moments when the spotlight felt less like a blessing and more like a trap. And then there's the emotional toll. BTS's message has always been about connection, hope, healing, and shared dreams. But for Jungkook, the road to healing might mean stepping away, stepping into the unknown. Pause for a moment and imagine the psychological landscape here. Jungkook, despite his youthful energy, has carried a burden almost impossible to fathom. According to psychologists who study the effects of prolonged fame, the isolation that stars experience can be devastating. Loneliness among crowds, trust issues with those around, and the constant erosion of personal identity. Jungkook's choice echoes a pattern we've seen before in history, artists who reached a breaking point, choosing to reclaim their lives at the cost of fame. What Jungkook is doing isn't just leaving a band, it's a profound act of self-preservation. But what about Taehyung? How does a brother cope with a brother's decision that feels like abandonment? We've seen glimpses, Taehyung's sudden quietness in interviews, the rare moments of vulnerability captured in candid videos. For fans, these moments speak volumes. Behind the camera, Taehyung is grappling with a future that looks very different from the one he dreamed of. It's a raw, human story, two souls intertwined by destiny, now facing a crossroads that could tear them apart or redefine their bond. As the news leaked, the world exploded with reactions. Fans flooded social media, some in disbelief, others in heartbreak. Why now? Why after so many years of unbreakable unity? To answer that, we need to consider the pressures unique to BTS's current era. The band recently hit a milestone, unprecedented global recognition, sold-out stadiums, and historic awards. But with that success came an unprecedented demand for evolution. The members were no longer just idols, they were global icons, political voices, cultural ambassadors. And that transformation brought tension. Jungkook's artistic ambitions began to pull him in directions that didn't always align with the group's established path. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Jungkook's decision didn't come out of nowhere. Sources close to the members suggest a secret meeting, a moment where Jungkook laid bare his soul, explaining that this wasn't about fame, money, or fans, but about his own mental health and growth. That meeting was a turning point. Taehyung, who had always been the optimistic heart of BTS, found himself at a loss for words. His shock wasn't anger, it was grief. The grief of realizing that sometimes love means letting go. And just when you think this story couldn't get any more emotional, there's one more twist. Jungkook's leaving isn't permanent, at least, not entirely. The word from insiders is that this is a pause, a necessary break to recharge and rediscover himself outside the confines of BTS. For Taehyung and the rest of the group, this creates a new reality, one where they must learn to adapt, to support their brother's journey while navigating their own. For Taehyung, this is an emotional earthquake. His reaction, caught in fleeting moments on camera, reveals a depth of feeling few have dared to speak about openly. Taehyung's usually playful spirit has been tempered by a somber resolve. Behind the scenes, sources say he's been quietly supporting Jungkook's choice, even as it shatters the foundation of BTS's dynamic. So, what do you think? Is Jungkook's decision a necessary evolution or a heartbreaking farewell? How do you see this affecting the future of BTS and the ARMY community? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your voices, your feelings, your stories. If this story touched you, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest deep dives and exclusive BTS insights. Because in the end, this isn't just about one member leaving, it's about the resilience of dreams, the power of friendship, and the courage to face the unknown.